On Friday, the Supreme Court released a decision that effectively overturned Roe v. Wade, and here in Louisiana, the trigger laws immediately went into effect, making abortion essentially banned here in the state. I'm joined by Representative Mandie Landry out of New Orleans. Mandie, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome.
I want to talk about these laws that were just signed by Governor John Bel Edwards with a new bill that went through the legislature this year. So let's talk about what happens now that that decision has come down.
So the 3 abortion clinics that remain in the state are now all closed immediately with the decision. We also know that the exceptions are a lot narrower because of the bill he signed. It's a lot harder for a physician to perform a life-saving abortion on a woman. We know if a baby is declared medically futile, which means they won't survive outside the womb, we need 2 doctors to confirm that. But most of all, we know that women are going to hurt themselves and more women are going to die. The coat hanger stories from before Roe are real. We know women are going to hurt themselves. We know half of all women who get an abortion have children. And so the reason they need to terminate is because they need to take care of the children they already have. I'm really worried about women, about their children, about maternal health care, about our maternal death rate. I think it's going to be bad for a long time here for women in Louisiana.
And we've talked about this before, but the exceptions are very narrow. There are not exceptions for rape and incest. So really, the mother has to be really, close to losing her life. Can you kind of explain what those few exceptions are?
You explained it. It's very close to losing her life. Very, very close to the point that we're not sure if it's going to catch some women. Also because of the increased penalties for physicians. So now a physician who performs an abortion, which I guess some court or some prosecutor thinks was not necessary, can be sentenced to close to 10 years in jail. So what's going to happen now is we're going to have a lot more physicians who are going to be nervous and concerned about, is the mother close enough to death? Is this a medically futile pregnancy? Will a judge one day say that this is appropriate? And what's going to happen is doctors are going to wait longer and longer to terminate the pregnancy, and you are going to have a lot more women either die on the table or be unable to have children in the future, and that's what's going to happen.
And I've seen you talk about the concern over what is determined as personhood under this legislation as well. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so the concept of legal personhood, as the anti-choice movement has been pushing it, is that right when the sperm meets the egg, you have a legal person. So as we know, when a child is born, inheritance rights attach, trust in estate, medical rights. There's a whole bunch of laws that apply. We also know that our homicide statutes use the word person. All of our criminal laws use the word person. So what we're worried about now with legal personhood is, for instance, women getting arrested because someone saw them having a beer or having too much coffee. We're also concerned about if a physician, for example, needs to perform a life-saving abortion, or if a woman hurts herself to terminate a pregnancy, will homicide statutes be triggered? The governor's statement said that these exceptions were broader and safer, but legal personhood states that from when sperm meets egg, that is a legal person, and that is disastrous. It will also harm IVF, which a lot of women in the state, a lot of people owe their families to IVF. So legal personhood is really dangerous, and it's in our law, and we don't know yet what that is going to mean.
And was the personhood one of the key differences from the 2006 laws that we already had on the books that this new bill really brought to light here?
It clarifies it more. I mean, this law is not substantially different in certain aspects from 2006. We had some semblance of legal personhood. There was a trigger law. The focus of this law is to increase penalties on doctors, to narrow the exceptions for women, and to re-clarify in every aspect that legal personhood is our standard. It's really dangerous. It is also chaotic and complicated and contradictory at times. And, this being a Louisiana, I think the laws are going to be interpreted in favor of the anti-choice movement.
Right, and since this legislation was signed by the governor, I'm sure you've had some discussions with doctors who, whether it's the abortion clinics that are now closed or doctors who by trade may have to perform an abortion. What's kind of their thoughts and feelings now that these are officially the laws of the land?
Yeah, so the local hospitals have been rushed to come up with compliance guidelines for their doctors. What does this mean, especially for gynecologists and for emergency room physicians? I have actually spoken to, in the last few months, emergency room physicians in particular. And what they tell me is every shift, a woman comes in with pregnancy complications, and that from a medical perspective, an abortion and a miscarriage look exactly the same. So you will have women coming in for care who someone, evil or anti-choice may call the cops on them. That's already happened in Texas. Women getting arrested for going to the emergency room. And the flip to that is you're going to have women who hear these stories, don't want to go to the emergency room, and are maybe going to bleed out at home. That's what doctors are worried about not being able to give the care that they need to give, and about women not seeking out for fear of arrest.
Right. Well, it's a historic decision that's come down. It's a very emotionally charged across the nation. You want to share a little bit about how you're feeling, and a lot of those people who are feeling scared. What would you like to say to them? Just moving forward, what happens now?
Yeah, I started sobbing immediately. I can't imagine what some of my younger friends and younger constituents are feeling, knowing they have so many years of worrying about this. But I want them to know that there are still plenty of us in the state who are fighting for them and who are looking out for them. There are several funds available who can help them fly out of state if they can't afford it. New Orleans Abortion Fund and Jane's Due Process. You also, women need to make sure they know how to get Plan B, which you can get at any pharmacy or through Plan B NOLA, get your birth control in order. Just know all this information, because you or one of your friends is going to need it sooner or later. And, the financial strain and the time away from work is going to be really hard on a lot of women. We're going to have a lot more unplanned pregnancies. We're going to have a lot more maternal death, but just know that there are people here to help you. You're going to have to seek it out. But try not to worry too much. Like, we're here to help.
All right, Representative Mandie Landry, thank you so much for your insight on this today.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling.
We'll be right back.